this morning. Welcome back to the second day of our virtual conference. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's panel discussion and meeting some of our expedition cruise operators and learning more about their exciting itineraries and places they travel to. So today we're going to kickstart our second and last day of virtual expedition cruise conference by talking to a couple of our expedition cruise operators about new trends for this fastest growing sector in the cruising industry. And without further ado, I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by a panel, and I would like to introduce you each member. So Sarah Schlederer. Hi, Sarah. Sarah is from Quark Expeditions.
Hi.
Hi. Just doing Managing Director for EU and EMEA at AE Expeditions. Hi, Joss.
Hi.
Nabil Mayat Ponan, Sales Director for UK and Developing Markets. And hi, Nabil. And last but not least, Nathaniel Sherburn, Vice President, UK and Nordics, Hurtigruten Expeditions. And I'm sure Nathaniel has some very exciting news to share later today as well, following the announcement yesterday. Right.
Absolutely. Morning, everyone.
Morning. Right. Yesterday's big topic was expedition cruise destinations, and we looked at the polar regions. We looked at the Galapagos. So the first question, perhaps I have for each of you, is what emerging expedition cruise destinations you are seeing, and what are the new destinations you are introducing to your travelers? Sarah, would you like to start this one?
Sure, absolutely. Quark Expeditions, we only do polar. So in terms of, new destinations, we're, a little bit more limited just to the polar regions. However, there's just such a vast, area to explore and so much more than where, traditionally expedition operators have gone in the past. We're constantly finding new places. And, for us, the hot destination at the moment that's going to keep growing and keep getting more and more popular is Greenland. So Greenland, for us, we've known how special it is for many, many years, but the rest of the world is starting to catch up now. And, industry professionals are touting Greenland as the next Iceland. So it's certainly one to watch. There's a lot of talk in the media about Greenland and for example, there's 3 new airports being built in the next year as well to accommodate the demand that's there for Greenland. So that's definitely one I would say to pay attention to and focus on. But also, other areas of the polar regions that we can explore in different ways as well. So not just about expedition cruising, zodiacs and landings, but also, how we can explore when we're in these destinations. So, for example, with helicopters or with various different kayaking options, camping, there's so many different ways we can see some of the same destinations as well as new areas of those particular destinations to explore.
Great, thank you. And what about you, Joss? Are you seeing any new emerging destinations at AE Expeditions or?
I mean, I agree with Sarah. Greenland is really, the Arctic is moving on from a single destination named the Arctic now, and it's breaking into its rightful regions, and the knowledge is improving. So, East Greenland pushing north in Greenland, but also the Northwest Passage has become quite a key area for us now, and it's developing an interest because whilst Antarctica is wild and wonderful, the Northwest Passage has incredible history, and it has people and culture too. So you can immerse with the people and the cultures there, and there's also a lot of lessons to be learned there about climate change and what's happening to the planet. It's a really important destination for those kind of learnings, and that can be really brought to life with the marine biologists, glaciologists, and the eating that we have on our ships. The other area that's really developing for us is trekking. So when you've got South America, you've got Antarctic cruises that leave from Ushuaia in Chile. It's a natural place for treks too. So we offer 10-day treks in Patagonia in Chile, and a lot of people now booking those and then obviously going on an expedition with us before or after to the Antarctic Peninsula or around there. So that's something that's really becoming more and more popular now in terms of destination, but it's not strictly on the ship.
Okay, understood. And Heritage cruising expeditions have definitely expanded into the regions beyond polar regions. So, Nathaniel, would you like to talk us through what you have in store for the travelers in the next couple of years, and what other areas and regions you are looking at geographically?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, really. I think clearly the polar regions are still going to be really important for us. We've talked about the boom in expedition cruising, and I still think those areas are areas that people still probably don't quite have a great understanding of how amazing they are and how accessible they are exactly for everyone on this call that can take them there. I think at Hertzog Expeditions we're very fortunate. We're kind of the biggest operator in the expedition space, and we're able to offer Greenland, Svalbard, Iceland, a lot of Norway, and actually some British Isles cruising that I think a lot of people wouldn't naturally associate with expedition cruising. But there are some really amazing parts of the UK that people almost never get the opportunity to see. But I think certainly for us is about expanding into our warm water destinations. Historically, we've always been known for our polar routes. All the way back since kind of 1896, to be honest with you, which is something as part of the new branding that I'll talk about a little bit later. We'll be leaning into, but I think Galapagos I think is still an amazing destination that has more potential. But probably one of the lesser known areas that is quite unique to us, I believe, is West Africa, Cape Verde. So going to Senegal, it's just not an area that the cruise industry in itself spends much time in. And so I think trying to ensure that customers and our guests recognise that if they've done Antarctica or have done the Arctic and want to explore some warmer water destinations, we can absolutely take them on some amazing adventures there as well. And I think that's certainly where we'll be looking in the future to think about how we might be able to do a bit more of that as well.
Absolutely. Now, Bill, on to you. You guys cover pretty much the entire globe. So talk us through the itineraries and new and exciting places you're taking your clients to. You're on mute. Okay. While Nabil is sorting himself out, let's see if we can actually just a little bit back to the different destinations. So, Nathaniel, do you think that introducing new places helps to increase the loyalty for the clients? Because in terms of just expanding these different regions and areas to travel to.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I think one of the things that I'm relatively new into the industry. I've been in the cruise world for a long time, but newer into the expedition space. And I think the feedback that I get around the onboard experience and the life-changing kind of experiences that guests have on our product at the moment is amazing. And clearly, some of these guests, it is a bucket list destination, so they probably will do it once. But to give them the opportunity to do something very, very different, from whether it's Greenland to Antarctica to Galapagos to West Africa to British Isles, giving that variety definitely helps people come back and still relied on an amazing onboard experience and off the ship experience, knowing that the kind of quality of expedition teams are going to be there wherever we take them on the globe. So yeah, I think expanding our choice not only going to drive more people to come back to us, but also I think it gives more opportunity for people to enter the sector to be able to go to these different destinations.
Absolutely. Nabil, are you back? Let's see. No, he isn't here. Okay, let's try and continue. The other thing, so each of your companies in the last 3 to 4 years has introduced a purpose-built new expedition ship. So how has the design of the ships evolved, and how does it change the onboard experience in your experience? So, Joss, can you tell us a bit more about the ships and how the design of the ship is impacting the onboard experience as well as shore activities?
Well, in terms of engineering, the ships carry the Oxley Nextbelt. So the Greg Mortimer, our first purpose-built expedition ship, was the first passenger ship to have the X-Belt. And in terms of wave piercing technology, the way the ship moves through the water, that reduces emissions. And it's, in terms of the experience, it's quite an iconic ship to go
Yeah.
on. The key thing is the size. The ship's being built to carry 132 passengers, and that's key for Antarctica because you can get everyone off at the same time. Because we have an activity program, so groups will go and do their activities, whether that's kayak diving, scuba diving, snorkeling, and then the rest of the passengers and guests will be able to do the landings on Zodiac. So the size is key, and it obviously improves the passenger experience because everyone can get off at the same time. That's often what people want. But yeah, the hydraulic viewing platforms, photography, there's lots of space on the ships because the ships have they're designed actually, they could carry more passengers, but we're limited to 132. So it's definitely the size combined with the technology and the engineering is certainly making things different for the passenger experience. Yeah.
Okay. And Sarah, the Ultramarine is the first purpose-built ship for Quark expeditions. What sort of things, what sort of specifications the company had in mind when building the ship to explore these remote corners of the world?
Yeah, you say obviously she's our first purpose-built ship. However, we've been operating in the polar regions for 32 years. So we took that, 3 decades of experience to build, the best polar expedition ship for exploring these exciting destinations. And, she's got some amazing features. And actually, I was just, thinking about your question, how does it change the onboard experience? In all honesty, the onboard experience remains pretty consistent across our whole fleet, even our older expedition classic ships. But it's the off-ship experience that's really impacted by, how we've designed and built the Ultramarine. So features like, for example, we've got 4 Zodiac embarkation points, including a water level hangar. So if there's something exciting happening off the ship, if we've got a polar bear sighting or, a pod of whales, the Ultramarine can allow guests to get off the ship faster than any other polar vessel. But, we've also got the helicopters, which, allow our guests to see these amazing destinations in a totally new way from a completely different perspective. So we've actually got 2 twin-engine helicopters on board the Ultramarine. So every guest traveling on the Ultramarine does get an included flight seeing excursion as part of their voyage cost. So now they're getting to see, Antarctica and the Arctic from land, from the water level on the Zodiacs, or if they're opting into the kayaking or the stand-up paddleboarding program. They're, of course, using the ship itself as a viewing platform for amazing wildlife sightings. But, now they're getting to see towering icebergs, glaciers, even wildlife pods of whales from the air, from above. But on board, I guess, as I said, sometimes, the ship is the best viewing platform for certain wildlife experiences. And we've got a fantastic feature on board. It's a dynamic positioning system, DPS, which essentially allows the ship to stop immediately and almost sort of hover. That's not the right technical term for it, but it instead of, normally you drop anchor and the ship would spin on its anchor. So you're constantly moving and shifting a little bit, but actually at the drop of a hat, at the push of a button, I should say, the Ultramarine can just stop. And so you can enjoy that wildlife moment without the ship naturally moving the way it normally would. And of course, being a new modern ship, incredibly modern sustainability features. So, for example, we have our MAGS, our micro auto gasification system on board, which reduces waste by up to 95%. So, various other incredible new features. But I would say that, having designed the Ultramarine based on our 3 decades of polar experience, we've designed her to allow our guests to experience the best of the destination, largely off the ship rather than focusing on the onboard experience.
Great, thank you. We'll go back to sustainability in a minute. Let's try Nabil again. Nabil, are you with us? Nope. No. Anyway, okay. So obviously, I wanted to ask Nabil about the Le Commandant Charcot because I think that is a quite unique ship in the sector as well. But I'm sure he can tell us a little bit more in the comments. And Nathaniel, you had a couple of new ships joining the fleet, and you have some exciting plans for your future fleet, and you're probably you're investing quite heavily in the shipbuilding. So if you could please give us an overview of what are the ships about, what are your future plans, and so on. So
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, to start off with, our vision is to be the number one sustainable expedition business in the world, and so we're obviously very, very focused on how we continue to pioneer in the sustainability space. We were delighted to be given the highest ranking by Morningstar from an ESG perspective recently, which is great as a business, the top business in the cruise industry. And I think we've obviously built Fridtjof Nansen and Roald Amundsen. As they were the first hybrid ships that were ever built. So our ships are a little bigger. They carry about 400 to 500 guests. But one of the things that does give us the ability to do is give us to make sure that we can have real stability in our cruises, and make sure that when we do sail, we're having as little impact as possible on the ocean. It also means that at an individual footprint level, obviously because we carry a few more guests, we're only sailing once with those number of guests, and so the individual carbon footprint of those guests is actually reduced per sailing. So that's also a big focus for us as well. The other, obviously, we try and ensure that we that doesn't limit the off-board experience as well. We run multiple sort of landings. We make sure there are science boats going out. There are excursions going out separately, so that everyone has an opportunity to see the destinations fully, which is great for people. But also, it just gives us the ability to have a few more onboard features. So a really immersive science centre on board. That can help educate people, and really some of the lectures and our expedition team leaders are just incredible in immersing people not only in the physical experience of getting off the ship, but helping people understand the local communities and the impact that they as individuals can have to support the local environment, which we get amazing feedback on when people come off the ship, and often a sort of long lasting impact on our guests. So, and yeah, we're going to continue to push boundaries. We recently announced that we're pushing hard to try and build a ship with a net zero impact on the environment in 2030. Obviously, we're working hard with the technologies that are available to make that happen. But yeah, we're going to continue to pioneer as much as possible. And one thing that probably doesn't often come into the sustainability conversation, because there's a lot of focus on the physical ships, is the sourcing conversation. So unfortunately, lots of goods get shipped around the world to meet big cruise lines' needs, often out of Miami. We've made a really concerted effort to source almost 90 to 95% of our produce in the ports that we embark from in Argentina, and work really closely so that we're not adding to the footprint outside. So yeah, we're continuing to be creative outside of the physical ship experience to try and reduce our overall footprint.
Amazing, which probably then leads to this to the next question I had to all of you, which I think Nathaniel you already answered. I don't think there is, we can talk about any form of tourism in future without talking about sustainability. So I actually wanted to ask each of you to talk through your sustainability strategy and your medium-term and long-term plans. So I think Nathaniel, you covered very nicely. But Sarah, what about Quark Expeditions?
Yeah, sustainability is, obviously the hot topic in the tourism industry as a whole, but when it comes to expedition cruising, and even more when it comes to polar expedition cruising, it's particularly relevant. It's something that I think all of us as individuals are incredibly passionate about, and certainly the companies that we represent are incredibly passionate about sustainability. And of course, the guests that choose to travel on a polar expedition typically are very well educated about sustainability, and more polls these days are indicating that guests are willing to spend more money if they know they're going with a sustainable operator. So it's certainly becoming more and more forefront at the deciding point in the buying process as well. So all that to say, it's hugely important. Quark Expeditions, we're really proud of the fact that we have the most comprehensive sustainability strategy in the polar industry. And, I say that because sustainability is so much more than what just immediately comes to mind. It's not just about, reducing your carbon footprint. It's not just about eliminating single-use plastics. It's not just about protecting the environment. It's also around partnerships, people, and communities. And let's not forget that we're visiting Inuit communities in the Arctic, and sustainability encompasses that. And when Quark Expeditions, for example, when we visit Inuit communities in Greenland or in the high Canadian Arctic, we make a commitment to those communities, to still fund our excursion there, even if nature dictates that we cannot actually take guests there on that particular day. We have made that commitment to them, and they are largely dependent on tourism. So that's a commitment that we stick to. We've also introduced in 2021 the first and currently the only Inuit culinary experience on Earth, and that's something we're really proud of. We developed that in partnership with the Inuit communities of southern Greenland, and essentially it's a tasting menu. So you don't necessarily think of high level, cuisine in the polar regions. Of course, on the ships, yes, but it's an incredible tasting menu as presented by an Inuit chef that comes on board, prepares the meal, explains the meal in between each course to our guests, and educates them on the very rich, cultural background and identity of Inuit cuisine. So, we are doing a lot. We are going to continue to push and work harder. We do have, a lot of information about it. We're always happy to share. I can talk till the cows come home about it, but we've produced in 2020 our sustainability report, which is an in-depth report that is consumer-facing. So we're happy to share that with you, the agents, who in turn can share it with your clients to read more about it. Long answer to your question. There's a lot we all are doing, and there's a lot more we can be doing, and it's about putting the focus on, every business decision moving forward needs to be with sustainability at the forefront, and that's something that we're really proud of.
Absolutely. Before I move on to Joss and AE Expeditions, I think there were a couple of questions actually which are related to this from the audience about the introduction of helicopters, and how would you best suggest travel agents to address this question to the clients if they are questioning whether helicopter is the right choice of excursion in the terms of sustainability and so on. So if you could just kind of tell us how to address that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really valid point. At the end of the day, unfortunately, what has the biggest, impact is flying to these destinations. So, I would simply address that with, well, if you're flying somewhere, that's going to have a much greater impact than taking the cruise itself or taking the helicopters. However, again, we've got all the resources available to share, but the helicopters that we have are state of the art. They are the most sustainable of the helicopters. And at the end of the day, by bringing people to the polar regions, we are having the most powerful impact we can have in creating polar ambassadors, who in turn will go home and not only make changes in their everyday habits and everyday decisions, but also impact the people around them. So, it's a flow-on effect of, by showing them, the Arctic's, retreating ice from above, or by showing them, icebergs from above, or, glacier meltwater from above. We're giving them a much more realistic idea of, how the polar regions are being impacted by climate change. And they're taking, that passion, that knowledge, and that ambassadorship home with them to make real life changes at home. And that, I think, is a really beautiful thing.
Okay. Thank you so
Can you
much,
hear me?
Sarah. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh my goodness. Sorry.
Right, so we'll let you settle in, and I just want to go now to Joss. And you guys have a quite ambitious plans in terms of sustainability at AE Expeditions, and you've been doing a lot of initiatives so far. So could you please talk us through what AE Expeditions has in store in terms of sustainability, and what are your short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans?
Yeah, I think it's. I think sustainability has become a bit of a sort of singular word now, and we need to open it up a bit. In terms of what we're doing as a company strategically, we've just released an impact report. We have a large number of sustainability goals, which we've got timelines to, and we're working through that plan now, and that has been published on our website. In terms of what we've already done, we've been climate neutral as a cruise company for nearly 2 years now. We're hoping to achieve B Corp at the end of this year. I'm not sure if any other cruise companies have B Corp, but it's quite a big process to go through, and you have to offer a lot of commitments and demonstrate a lot of sustainable and social credentials to do it. We obviously have a strategy with our ships. They are, we are making them as fuel efficient as we can. We are reducing carbon where we can, but these are our own. This as an industry is reducing our own, the problem that we create ourselves. Now that's important, but what we're also the education piece is so important, because what we're really trying to do is create ambassadors and activists. And what the world needs now is activism. We need to create people that actually care enough to go and do something about it. And that's what the expedition industry is doing. And we're kind of really trying to lead in terms of, the companies like the people on this panel, we're taking hundreds of thousands of people to these incredible destinations. We have the best opportunity to be the influencer globally and to really show these people what is, as Sarah was saying, the damage that's been done, the ice melt. You have to go there and see it to really understand it, to be able to come back and influence your peers that something has to be done, and it has to be done now. So what the expedition, it really is the global influencer for sustainability, because we have this unique position and we've mobilized this army of people that are going down and partaking in citizen science and seeing these incredible destinations, and they come back wanting to protect them. So that's become the most important part of what we do as a company, alongside making sure the ships are sustainable, moving towards a net zero target ultimately. And also you look at the news today, and even the politicians are trying to backtrack on certain green initiatives and stuff. So we have a real opportunity as an industry that's growing to influence and to really sort of direct the sustainability topic. So it's kind of a combination of those different things now. It's not just sustainability has been talking points for a long time: plastic straws, X, Y, and Z. Now it's really moved on to a much bigger, influential kind of process for us all, and I think we all as companies have a part to play in that. So yeah, but it feels like we're best placed as an industry to really drive the message home and to really create the activists we need to, get things changed, because things need to change. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a warm welcome to Nabil. We're very happy to have you and to finally hear you. We're going to give you a little bit of limelight here. So, Nabil, you missed the conversation on the. Well, you couldn't share your views on the conversation in regards to the ship design and how that is leading to different experiences or enhanced onboard experiences, but or introducing destinations that probably were not available to the travelers before. So talk us through what are you guys doing at Punan, and yeah, let's just catch up on conversations had.
Super. So good to be with you all, guys. So really to summarize everything, we've been working a lot over the past few years to implement a lot of things regarding the new trends of cruising. And the last result of that mentality is our new Swap to Zero program, which is going to lead us to have in 2030 a sailing ship with zero emission carbon. That ship will use 6 ways of propulsions. We'll use, for instance, what we call the ocean wings technology, which is going to be basically automatic sailing regarding where the wind is coming from to optimize the propulsion. This technology is brand new. So it's these kind of things that we are building with a company that helped us also to build Le Commandant Charcot. As you know, Le Commandant Charcot, she's the unique hybrid icebreaker. She currently is able to use the best fuel on Earth, LNG as well as electricity. She's the only ship on Earth that can do this and take you back to destination questions. Can take you guys to both North Pole, for instance, the geographic and the magnetic. Can take you and took some of our guests to the most southern point on Earth that a cruise ship ever reached. So this kind of technologies is really taking us to the next level. And our hope and the hope of our CEO is really to show also the good practice for other players to do this in the future. And I know that the current companies in that panel share the same spirit. So it's really a global movement for the future.
And how does the I know that you guys work with a number of different citizen science charities, which all of you actually in this panel do. Can you tell us a little bit more, like how the ship design is enabling the citizen science and engaging travelers and understanding a bit beyond the tourism in these remote corners of the world?
Sure. So, for instance, we have on board Le Commandant
Mm,
Charcot, we are welcoming some scientists on board
mm,
for free. We
mm,
take them to the North Pole, to different places in the world on a yearly basis, which is good to have that consistency over the year for science. And we giving them some labs, a wet lab as well as a dry lab. The wet lab has a direct access to the sea from the ship, so they don't
mm,
even have to disembark. They have we have like a 10 to 12 meters a tube with the direct access to the sea, so they can process to a lot of testing, and we showcase also those experience to our guests, and we sometimes take them on shore with the scientists for them to take some ice and be part of those also important discoveries. So afterwards, we share with them the results of those scientists that came on board. Over the past few years, we got many applications from all
mm.
around the world, and it's becoming more and more international. Even people and scientists from the UK came on board the Commandant Charcot to use that facilities that we're giving them.
Okay, great. Thank you. This is going to be a slightly different question, and I know we are coming close to the end of this debate, and I was hoping to ask much more, but are you so talking about the expedition cruise travelers? Are you seeing any change in demographics? The sector has been going strong for several years now, and are you seeing any new trends? Just let's start with you.
I think predominantly expedition travellers are still in our product 55 plus.
Hmm.
So, but we are seeing as it breaks through, and we're having, for example, we've got a guy who was on the Endurance 22 expedition that discovered Shackleton's Endurance. And he was a producer on there, so he was one of the people beaming all those incredible images around the world. And he's a 35-year-old social media influencer. He's a TV presenter, and he really cuts through. So he's just been greening with us, and he is able to talk to a different audience about what expedition's all about now, and and frankly how cool it is, because some of the video, some of the shots that they get now, some of these extraordinary scenes, they just cut through on social media, and we're getting interest definitely from a different generation, and it's through people that are on board and actually presenting the product as it is, and it's kind of that cut through. So predominantly the demographic is still people that have the time, have the money, are, often retired, because that's just how things work. When finding the time to expedition and the money, it's more expensive than traditional cruising. But there is definitely a new audience building now, and it's through certain special guests that can really cut through and influence those people. So yeah, we are seeing a trend, which is quite exciting actually.
Thank you. Very quickly, Nathaniel, is it the same for you guys as well, or?
Yes, I think, look,
Mm,
in my view, what I would call our kind of addressable market is still massive across the world. We almost, I don't think we actually need to be worried too much yet about a new generation, because there are so many people that haven't experienced these amazing adventures yet. So our focus will continue to be on the kind of 50 plus. And while, yes, our content will definitely resonate with the younger generation, if they decide to come and join us, that's amazing. But I personally feel there are so many people out there that still are yet to experience some of these amazing expeditions. So not anything in the immediate short term, but I can see it changing in the
Great.
medium term.
Great, thank you. Sarah, couple of seconds from you. We're
Well,
running out of
I
time.
mean, I think the biggest change I've seen since the pandemic is we're getting a massive surge in solo travelers wanting to
Okay.
travel. And actually, a lot of them are, they're not single, or they're not widowed, or they're just their partner doesn't want to go and they don't want to put it off anymore. They do want to go. So they're saying, leave them at home, off I go. I'm going to Antarctica anyway. So I think it's really important that ships have the ability to cater for solo travelers, and of course the community that exists on board, very welcoming community to solo travelers. The other big difference we're seeing now is multi-generational families. Again, since the pandemic, those people typically in the retired age bracket that can afford such a trip have historically taken a trip, just the two of them, or just the one of them. But now they want to take their kids, they want to take their grandkids, they want to have meaningful, long lasting memories with their family unit as a whole. So we're certainly seeing a massive increase in groups, in multi-generational families coming with us.
Great. Thank you. Nabil, the last word from you.
So I would say that we've seen also a lot of disabled people coming on board. So to be frank, sometimes they are a little bit afraid when they first approach us, especially for expedition cruising and destinations. But at the end of the day, we can welcome them. We can do everything that is needed for them to experience as close as possible to the experience that the other guests will have. And I would say we took some people to Antarctica in wheelchair. We took them on the Zodiacs, in the onshore excursions and so on. So we've seen also more and more people who are willing to do this.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, all of you. Apologies to everyone for some technical issues we had during our panel discussion. I still hope you enjoyed that. It's time now to head to your very first session today with the Australis Cruises from Chile. And thank you once again, Joss, Nathaniel,